good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from the World Tourism Network here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And with us today is eTopo News, Livestream.travel, Hawaii News Online, and our global social media network, and all our affiliated members. And we're very pleased to introduce a new tourism hero. The Tourism Hero program came out of an initiative from the World Tourism Network. And the way it works is you can appoint anyone you feel is worthy as a tourism hero. Then it goes through a committee process and we get a lot of applications, but only really a few make it. And our guest today is one of them. It takes, you can self-nominate yourself. You can also nominate someone else, but it takes 2 nominations for every hero title to be awarded. And it's free, so we never charge anything. We're not going to come to you and ask you to promote yourself, and there's not going to be an open election. It's a committee. So we're trying to keep it very fair, transparent, and it should be a real recognition. And you don't have to be a minister of tourism. You can be a tour guide, and we had everyone else. If you're interested in this Heroes program and you don't know it yet, just go to heroes.travel. You'll find all the information. You can see who our heroes are. We have a little bit of more than 20 heroes. And today we're going to have the first hero from St. Lucia. And St. Lucia is in the Caribbean. And I'd like to welcome Karolin. And I'm so sorry, your last name, you better pronounce yourself. But I know Karolin, we know each other for a long time, but I'm very, very bad with names. Welcome, Karolin. And first of all, congratulations.
Hello, Jürgen. I'm very happy to be a hero, and thank you for including me in this illustrious group of tourism heroes. My last name is Troubetzkoy, so Karolin Troubetzkoy. Last name is Russian. My husband is a Canadian-Russian architect, as you perhaps remember, and we live in St. Lucia. We own 2 beautiful resorts here, and Chastenay and Jade Mountain. And Nick, my husband, is the architect that also designed and built these resorts.
And they are beautiful resorts. I've never been to one of them, but our friend, Dr. Peter Tarlow, our co-chair, actually, he has visited St. Lucia a number of times, and he said it's absolutely stunning. And you can probably see this because is this a view from your resort, or is it close to your resort? Wow.
That is actually, it's a virtual background, I admit it. I wish I had this view right now, but I'm very near the resort, about 20 minutes away. So that's the view from what we call our infinity pool sanctuaries. There's only 24 of them, and they have indeed this amazing straight-on view of our World Heritage Site, the Piton Mountains.
Wow, this is absolutely stunning. I mean, a lot of people, of course, in the United States know where St. Lucia is, but there are other parts of the world, and we have members in 128 countries, may not know where St. Lucia is. So tell us a little bit, where is St. Lucia?
So St. Lucia is in the Eastern Caribbean. If I had to describe it, it is roughly speaking between Barbados, Martinique, and St. Vincent, if we're looking into a little triangle situation. It's closer to South America than perhaps the Bahamas would be. And I always like to point out that the Caribbean is a region of over 1 million square miles, because I often get the feeling internationally when I talk about the Caribbean that it's not really understood that we are made up of so many different countries, and that the region is in fact spanning over 1 million square miles.
Yeah, the Caribbean, and it's so many different countries, independent countries. Also, there are dependent countries, there's a Dutch territory, there's a French territory, and it's a very diversified region of the world, and beautiful because every island is different. So it's not like you go to one island, you have seen them all. It's definitely not like this in the Caribbean. But Karolin, you've been nominated as a hero because of so many different achievements and groups you've been involved in, like the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association. You were with the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What did you do? What brought you to tourism besides running and owning, even better, a resort in St. Lucia?
So I grew up in a little hotel in Germany, and it was always clear to me that I wanted to work in the hospitality industry, but I don't think I saw myself in the Caribbean in these early years. One thing led to another, and I came here in my early 20s and stayed, and with my husband, we had these two resorts, and fairly early on, I mean, having a degree in tourism marketing and hotel and restaurant management, very early on in my career and living and working in St. Lucia, I took an interest, of course, at what was happening on an island-wide level and Caribbean-wide level. And so over the years, I got more and more involved in different aspects of the destination. I was part of various tourism marketing committees. I had the honor of serving as the president of St. Lucia's Hotel and Tourism Association for 4 terms. That's almost 10 years altogether. And in between, and in between, from 2016 to 2018, I was also appointed as the president of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. I was very proud because I was only the second woman in the 50-year-long history of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association to be nominated. But then, you know, it was, you start this appointment and you think, oh my goodness, you know, I'm going to be sure that the Caribbean is marketed all over, you know, it will be fantastic. And I would have to say that not a single day in my presidency was like business as usual. There was like one, I would say, natural disaster chasing the next. And of course, most notably in 2017, we had several extremely horrible hurricanes, Irma and Maria. These were the worst. And what's happened really for me personally is when I would say I started as a tourism marketing professional, and then I suddenly turned into this serial fundraiser because there was always a disaster somewhere in the Caribbean for which I wanted to raise funds. And it's also shifted my focus a little bit from strictly tourism to looking at the resilient side of tourism, but also the resilience that we need to create for our Caribbean islands. And so I've recently embraced the chairmanship of the Saint Lucia National Conservation Fund. And even though I'm still very much involved in tourism, and I mean, obviously there's a very strong link with tourism when you look at conservation and resilience, I certainly would like to say that my next few years, I want to focus to creating more sustainable operations around, not just in St. Lucia, but in the Caribbean, and advocate for that, and also really create, you know, a regenerative environment where we can be sure that the Caribbean is a place to enjoy for many more generations.
Yeah, and I see also you're the honorable consul for Germany, right, in St. Lucia.
Yeah, no, I do like what I do, so I don't have many other hobbies, but you know, I serve as the German honorary consul, and again, I've been away from Germany now for over 38 years, and I have to say, when I was asked whether I would consider serving in this capacity, I was hesitant at first, but it has really because I do so many other things, but it's helped me to reconnect a little bit with Germany, because after so many years away, you don't really know what's actually going on. And so it's made me happy to serve as the honorary consul. And I hope I've also been able to, you know, connect Germany better with St. Lucia and by extension, the Caribbean.
Yeah, and it becomes just probably a little bit more than a hobby, I would assume, because St. Lucia also has a lot of guests from Germany, and me being myself from Germany, being away 30 some years from my country of birth, it is, yes, you kind of change your mindset a little bit, I think, especially when you live on an island, and we have that in common. I live on an island, you live on an island. And so I can relate to exactly what you're saying, but I would assume as the consul in Germany, there are real issues you sometimes have to deal with, don't you?
Certainly. I mean, I would say The great thing is when I can find funding to do certain projects on the island, maybe build a library for a school or create solar panel project somewhere. The downside is if anybody has an accident or gets thrown into jail, I also have to deal with it. I would like to say that German visitors have been very well behaved, at least in St. Lucia. I have not yet had to pull anybody out of jail or consult with anyone in jail, but in essence, that's the job. Like, you know, you are the first step for someone if you have any type of trouble during your stay in a different country. And it's not, of course, just for tourists. It would be any German citizen, even if they live in St. Lucia, that I would assist.
No, and I understand this. And I'm wondering, just curiosity, we're getting away from talking about you, but I know the German honorary consul here in Hawaii is financing our Strandfest, they call it. So there's a get together of German Americans that live here on the island, and they come together and we have a little tent, and it's donated by the German government and the Honorable Consul of Germany. You guys have a Strandfest in St. Lucia?
You're giving me a great idea here, Jürgen. I think you better introduce me to your Hawaiian German consul so I can take over that great idea. The other position I still hold that I'm very proud of is chairman of the Education Foundation of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. Because again, you know, when we look at the future of tourism in the Caribbean, we want it to be more inclusive, but we also want to give a lot more opportunity to any Caribbean national that really has embraced tourism for their career. And I think that we need to do a lot more to really assist with the opportunities and create career paths. And so I'm very happy that it was a good week for us because we were able to find funding to sponsor at least 12 Caribbean nationals to attend a very high profile course with the Les Roches University in Switzerland. And so we are going to make the announcement in the next few days. And so wow. That's what I love, when we can do something where I feel we can make a bit of a difference.
And that's important, education, and specifically with the pandemic floating around. I don't know how it is in St. Lucia, but here we're losing a lot of people in the hospitality industry, drifting to other industries because they lost their job. Now business is slowly coming back, and we don't have enough people working in this industry. So education even is put on a fast track many times to get people back. Do you experience the same situation?
St. Lucia is, I mean, a bit different to Hawaii in as much, sadly, we don't really have that many job opportunities in other sectors. So tourism really, I mean, you know that the Caribbean is one of the most tourism dependent regions in the world. So when the tourism jobs go away, it's really not that easy to find other jobs. But lucky for us, and St. Lucia, I know, has certainly been perhaps the exception. We've been doing very well since we reopened last July, in July 2020. A lot of hotels have actually been able to work with fairly good occupancies, being able to rehire everybody. And I would say those team members that were laid off, they were all happy to come back because, as I said, it's not that easy to find jobs elsewhere.
Yeah, and let me ask you about a different subject, what goes away from your hero thing, but it became just recently in the last few days a very important issue for the World Tourism Network. And this is deals with the US travel advisories against other countries, including St. Lucia. St. Lucia is in the pool of Caribbean countries like Jamaica, Bahamas, that is categorized as level 4. Level 4 is the highest level of a travel advisory, and it means do not travel. Now, what the irony on these travel warnings is that the same type of warning is actually in effect against the Puerto Rico and Guam, what are both US territories. So I think the United States must be the only country in the world penalizing its own territories with do not travel warnings. And the significance on this warning is it's the same level, for example, as Afghanistan or North Korea enjoys. What we feel at the World Tourism Network is completely unfair and out of date. Our initiative, and I'm wondering what you think about it, is now pushing the US State Department to change the category levels to a different mixed system. We feel there should be one system, what's the system the US had in place all along, where you deal with security and other issues, and that would generate a category between 1 and 4. And then there's the other issue of COVID, what should again be divided in 2 categories. One is the category how threatening a destination is for vaccinated tourists, and one for unvaccinated tourists. And you have 3 numbers you can combine on the same advisory. So you don't have to penalize if you feel like Guam is a certain foreign territory, or someone like St. Lucia or Bahamas. Bahamas is definitely dependent on US tourism and threatened to wipe out the entire economy. Because the other irony is that in the case of Bahamas, for example, you have Florida. The numbers of COVID threats in Florida is 4 times as high as the Bahamas. Even here in Hawaii, it's way more than any Caribbean destination. And since we're a state, we don't have travel warnings. So I'm just wondering how you feel about all of this.
Very mixed feelings about the whole system in place with these travel warnings. I mean, when someone asks me about it for St. Lucia, I always point out that, I mean, it seems that the majority of the world right now is in a level 4 warning. I think it does really send the wrong signals, because clearly we all see the same worldwide globally, that there is a 4th wave and that the numbers have gone up. But when we look at it from a tourism perspective, when we reopened last year, I mean, we have such a complex network of health and safety precautions. And remember that we opened, there wasn't even a vaccine yet, and we were able to operate in a completely safe environment. Our chief medical officer in a recent press conference, I heard her say that there was absolutely no indication that a tourist ever gave COVID to a staff member or vice versa. So I think, of course, you know, things can happen, but I can say that they haven't happened in a tourism environment. And we have been able, therefore, to keep attracting visitors. We have not just our resorts, but the island in general. And I think that guests just want to be reassured that the hotel and the destination they're going to has systems in place to keep them safe. And as you have said, Jürgen, I mean, I was in Miami recently, and, you know, at least in St. Lucia, we have clear rules. You wear a mask. It doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, you wear a mask. It really did bother me to go in restaurants in Miami, where in one restaurant, they had a mask requirement for the team members. And in the next restaurant, we were told, oh no, we don't have such a requirement. And my husband and I came away from this thinking, well, even though some people are vaccinated, others are not, I really would like to, I feel more comfortable being in a restaurant where there are team members with a mask, because I'm sitting there eating exposed. And so I found that to be very strange. And I would like to say that I think all the Caribbean islands that I know of, we operate with very strict health and safety measures. And wearing of masks is certainly one of them.
Yeah, and that is also within the United States also so different. Here in Hawaii, it is definitely mandatory to wear masks, and they make it now mandatory again to wear masks even in outside shopping centers. So, and then Florida and Texas, they have their own philosophy on things, I guess. And what makes it so dangerous, because it is all interconnected. So you're absolutely right. I think the best advice I would give someone is not to frequent any restaurant that is not requiring masks. To not put yourself in danger and help others. But of course, that's not a solution. But when it comes to travel warnings and travel advisories, the entire world is in need to change this. And that includes the United States, also includes Germany and many other countries. I've traveled to Germany a few months ago, and literally you're confused till you go through the border check in Frankfurt airport. You don't know what to expect. And then at the end, in my case, I just was holding up my passport and was walked straight through. No one even opened my passport. So sometimes I think it's lucky, but it makes travel so stressful, and even though requirements are there? Well,
I think, Jürgen, we really have to accept that we need to learn how to live with this. I mean, we've put our lives on hold for so long. I mean, this started last year in March, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So we need to learn how to live with this and be smart, how we keep ourselves safe, ensure that wherever we go, we can be assured of a certain level of health and safety precautions in place, and end of story. And I don't think we should stop traveling. It makes no sense to me at this stage.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you say this, because this is going to be for the World Tourism Network, and we're only a little piece in the puzzle. But if you really look at global leadership, some of this leadership is missing, and I make no secret about my my worry with the UNWTO, that actually should be in charge of these government policies and do something, and they are not. So that organization, in my opinion, is useless, and I've said this publicly, so I'm not hiding it here. And then the WTTC is trying everything possible to bring this world of travel forward, and that's definitely a good leader to follow. And we, as the World Tourism Network, we're a small organization but we have people in 128 countries, both from the public sector and the private sector, looking out really for the medium and small guys. We have good people, Dr. Peter Tarlow, for example, Dr. Taleb Rifai, who are in the leadership of this organization. Alain St. Ange, very familiar with islands. So we would invite you to become involved. We have an initiative specifically right now, we just announced, to deal with the US travel advisory and actively reach out on this, and to open up travel. And travel with COVID is actually our biggest project we're right now trying to develop, and also probably announce in the next week or so. And exactly what you're saying, it is time to move on to make sure this industry, you cannot stop people, you cannot lock people up. It's not only the travel part, there's so much more involved in it economically, and also I mean, I can see it even here in my little bubble in Hawaii. When you go to Costco, many shelves are empty because products are not produced, they're not shipped in. So there's so many issues besides travel, and I think it is so important that travel continues to function, not only for the travel industry alone, but of course we have to find a safe way, but we cannot lock ourselves up. And now with the vaccine widely available in many parts of the world, there's really no excuse to just say, oh my God, we cannot continue to travel. So, and of course, everyone has a different opinion here, but we also cannot say, okay, we just don't worry about any restrictions. We just do whatever we want, what Denmark announced today. I have fear that this could backfire. So there's definitely a fine line. But Karen, it is definitely my pleasure to at least welcome you to our Karolin, to our hero program. And it's a good step, and we're going to try to give it recognition, because you definitely deserve it. I mean, I always called you Miss St. Lucia, because every time you think about St. Lucia, you really think about Karolin. And I know you had some recent changes over there, so you're getting also different responsibilities, but the industry like no one else, I think, in and out, and you've been involved in almost everything what comes to travel and tourism. And for that, I think you should be rewarded.
Well, I feel very honored, and I would like to say I live and breathe Caribbean tourism. I care deeply, and whatever difference I can make whilst I'm on this earth, I will try to contribute.
Thank you very much, Karolin, and I hope you enjoy your weekend, and hopefully it's a beautiful day. You stay away from your storms and hurricanes and all of this. We try to do the same, and hopefully we can catch up again very soon, and just stay in touch and get involved. We would love to work with you.
With pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, Jürgen. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.